Unbelievable. Welcome to Grumps 32. Race to the bottom. Vroom. And while many of you think race to the bottom means one thing, like it usually does, it means something else today, but we'll explain that later after we play our happy, happy little theme song.
Don't try to cross him, he'll leave you in dismay. And don't try to force him, he'll ruin your whole day. He's got more mental problems than a shrink could ever say.
I think my pill just kicked in.
He's obfuscating, prevaricating, and constantly pontificating, procrastinating, cream cheese grating, forever belly aching, exasperating, aggravating, irritating, infuriating, and such an asshole.
Look at this face. Get off my lawn.
That's Grumpsy.
Gidget, you look amazing. You're a race car driver. You're in the race to the bottom. I like this.
Well, you know, might be an old Indian motorcycle too. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's so warm in this jacket, I'm fogging up my goggles.
Woo!
Oh,
You'd be fogging up anybody's goggles when they look at you.
Uh-huh.
Woo! Look at that. Hotsy totsy.
yes, I got my leathers
Man.
on.
She ain't going nowhere, and I'd still give her a speeding ticket. You know what I mean?
You silly boy.
Anyways, welcome to our race to the bottom. Today we're going to celebrate people who play in the bass clef.
There's another clef?
There's another clef.
And it's not my it's
No,
not
and
it's not in my
it's
chin.
not. It's not every good boy does fine.
Oh, isn't it every good boy
No.
does something about favor?
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
That's the treble clef. The
Oh.
treble clef.
Trouble.
The bass clef is different.
Yeah. Oh.
It's good boys don't fuck animals. You'll never forget the lines of the bass clef
Don't
staff
say
forever.
the F word in front of Ruby.
Yeah,
She gets very
Our
upset.
dog, oh, she's like a church lady.
She is the
If you
church
say
lady
the F
dog.
word, she goes into conniptions.
She got impatience.
We have to bring her into like doggy therapy.
Yeah, I know. Look at her there. Oh, she's all upset.
Anyways, this is Race to the Bottom, so let's race because we've got some special, amazing stuff. Everything's going to be lower than me, which is hard to believe anything's lower than me, but everything is lower than me. Rum, rum, rum.
Am I racing to
Racing
make
to
you a martini?
Sanitini, yes.
Okay, I'm
And for those of you who don't know what a Sanitini is, it's gin, hand sanitizer.
Look at my goggles, ain't they cool?
Oh man, they're the best.
Ah, the lengths we go for you people.
Anyways, yes, and you know, whatever, wherever. Okay, this is a song I wrote for a great bass player who I play with. It happens to be on this CD, the Foremanism CD, Bruce Foreman Trio. This is called Ray Brown's Bass. It's kind of some ideas that he played, liked to play, ways he liked to play, and I built it into a song, and this is how it goes. Little darling there. getting paid by the note, baby. So I don't care. It feels so good. Swinging shaker, baby.
Ooh, it's cold.
Bring it home. Oh, Brother Ray. Not yet. Here we go.
Wowee.
Ray Brown, man. That song is called Ray Brown's Bass. It's a song I wrote. It's on my trio record. Actually, I lied first. It's not on this one, which is Formanism. It's on the second Formanism, which is called The Book of Foreman. It is really called The Book of Foreman. Anyways, we miss Ray Brown, and since we're dedicating this to bass players and people who play in the bass clef, everybody owes a tip of the hat to Ray Brown. And with that, we have Gidget back and an ice cold Sanatini. And we are going to do something that is going to positively blow your...
Don't say the F word because Ruby's right there. She's, you know.
Okay, it's going to blow your ducking mind. Please, Gidge, take the pilot seat. And you can just grab that when you get there.
Okay, because...
Gidge, you know, this is going to be an extra extravaganza. We all know that Gidge, she sings, whoa.
Well, it's this leather. So
She sings,
I'm
she
hot.
plays the melodica, she plays the drums.
I'm
And speaking
hot.
of which, Gidget Joe Jones, it's her Uncle Philly Joe Jones' birthday today.
Uncle Philly.
Yeah, Uncle Philly's. And so she's already played the drums. We got a double going here.
I get paid extra.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I don't think I can do this
And
with this
today
big old
she's going to
jacket.
play the bass for us.
I have to take this.
Okay. You want some help with that? Let's make it quick. Come on, we're losing the
We're losing the dancers.
Yeah. Okay.
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 Wait a minute. I gotta.
You got to get it straight. Yeah, you got it. That's it. Probably. I
Okay.
don't know. Go ahead. Start it off.
Oh, right.
We already went down to like one person.
station, Bangor, Maine.
Banger. That's what I say.
Oh, has no more down shoes. I
She had it
don't
coming.
pay no union dues. I don't smoke old stogies that I found whether they're short
Bad for
or
you.
bigger. And I'm a gal of means. I know me, queen of the road. I know every
Oh my God,
engine,
there's extra money for that,
every
too.
train, all of their children and all of their names, and every handout in every town, and every lock that ain't locked when no one's around. I say trailers for sale, rent, rooms to let, 50 cents. No phone, no pool, yes pets.
Oh, whatever.
I don't smoke no cigarettes, but 2 hours of pushing a broom.
Just 1, 4, 5, baby. You got it.
8 by 12, 4-bedroom. I'm a gal of means.
That looks
I
fun.
know me,
That looks fun.
queen of the road. Hey,
Oh, me do it?
Bass
Okay.
solo.
Boop, 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 boop. More. Come on, one more.
oh man, give it back.
One more.
Give it to me.
Boop, 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 boop,
Where
boop,
am I?
boop, boop, boop.
Tailors for sale, rent, rooms to let, 50 cents. No phone, no pool, no bets. Ooh, I ain't smoking no cigarettes, all but 2 hours of pushing a broom. Buys me a 8 by 12, 4-bedroom. I'm a gal of means, by no means, queen of the road, queen of the road. And they said it couldn't be done.
Boom.
I proved them wrong again.
Look at that. She played, and I got to tell the truth.
Can I get a witness?
Today is her first day playing the bass.
Well, that is true.
I introduced her to that U bass a mere 6 hours ago,
Yep.
and she pulled that together. Now that is some
Well,
serious
I had a good
musicality.
teacher.
That is some, but it takes musicality to make that
I had a
happen.
good teacher.
And I've just got to say
I'm gonna put my
that I am
Woo.
not only impressed, but I got to take a bass solo in public, and that was really a lot of
It was
fun.
very fun.
And I hope everybody didn't start talking like normal bass solo.
Probably
But
did. Woo-hoo.
anyways,
Thank you for your
and that was
indulgence.
a song of Roger Miller's, as you know. I'm going to deconnect that bass because the battery in it goes away if you leave it plugged in. Okay, boom. Maybe I'll take a bass solo later. That song was Roger Miller's big hit, and believe it or not, we have done the Route 66 trip 5 times where we go and we leave with $100 and we just play our way all the way from Chicago to LA. And one of the towns, Erick, Oklahoma, it's in the just western Oklahoma and red dirt area of Oklahoma.
Ain't all this red there.
And yeah, I know. Anyways, It's the home of Roger Miller. It's also the home of Harley. It was Harley and Annabelle, who are literally, as far as I'm concerned, the best people on Route 66. They're the most amazing. And now it's just Harley. He's an entertainer. He's a singer. He's a guitar player. He's a comedian. He lives there in Eric, and he has a curiosity shop. And boy, it's curious. I'll tell you, it'll scare the shit out of you. And there's a lot of YouTube of Harley on Route 66, including on the Cowbop and the Way Out West music site. And that song always reminds me of that town. And it's not a town. It reminds you of the Last Picture Show, if any of you all saw that movie. It's very close to the Texas Panhandle. And love to Harley if he happens to be watching, although I don't think they found out about the internet yet there. I'm joking. He's my friend on Facebook. Anyways, back to bass players. Of course, Ray Brown. Jimmy Blanton and Paul Chambers and Ray Brown. You have to start with all those guys. But want to tell you about somebody else who's real important to me. When I was growing up, which, believe it or not, was back in the previous century, I went to this club in San Francisco called Keystone Corner and heard all the greats. They would play 6 nights a week. And one of the bands that was really hot at that time, we're talking the late 70s, mid-late 70s, into the early 80s, was the famed Dexter Gordon Quartet when he came back, his homecoming band. It was George Cables on piano. It was Rufus Reid on bass and Eddie Gladden on drums. Well, I became familiar with Rufus's playing, of course, and a big fan then. And we did get a chance to play a little bit. And then when I went on tour with Barney Kessel, kind of the old, the young lion and the master, Barney picked me to go on the road with him to Europe. The rhythm section that backed us up was that rhythm section. They would be there. And so they were also touring. Although by then George had been replaced, had left the band and had gone with Art Pepper, so it was Kirk Lightsey on piano for those gigs. But anyways, that was my first real official time playing with Rufus, and of course in New York I played with him a lot as well over the years. And we're so lucky because Rufus, and actually when I go back to New York, in my trio, I'm usually using Rufus and Matt Wilson. So I'm going to get this going here. Rufus sent a beautiful thing. It was, when he sent it, Johnny Mandel had passed, just like the day before. So he chose to do a Johnny Mandel tune. And this is a bass player that will swing you into bad health. Whoops. I always do that. I try to get the background dark, and if you touch it just right, it works. See? Wow. Rufus Reid, man. Okay, that low C, that was the winner, low note, right? Okay, wow. Okay, so Grumps is cool. Grumps was a little grimp, like a shrimp grimp. Then he got lucky enough to play with people like Rufus Reid and Ray Brown and George Cables and Barney Kessel. Joe Pass and Bobby Hutcherson and Richie Cole and Eddie Jefferson, and he became a real full-fledged Grumps asshole. And believe me, that's how this music works. It's shared, it's continued on, and luckily, Rufus is still playing. I invite you all to check him out, Rufus Reid, R-E-I-D. For those of you, few of you that don't know who he is. He has a big band now, and he's been writing some amazing arrangements with all the best New York cats playing in that band. I like to think that if I lived in New York, I'd have a shot in an audition. But I do get a chance to play with him when I'm in New York, as I said. And so my love to Rufus and his wife, Doris. He grew up with another mentor of mine. He grew up in Sacramento, California. Vince Latiano, who's on a number of my records, who I have played with since I was literally a young teenager, and who showed me the ropes and taught me how to not just be a musician, but a person. He and Rufus grew up together. I do believe that neither of them played the instrument they play now. I don't know what Rufus was. Maybe I'll get Rufus to let me know once he watches this. Vince was a trumpet player that switched to drums. I don't know what Rufus actually started on. And how many people out there really ended up playing the instrument they started on? I started on the piano, so I'm in the Vince and Rufus category. But it all helps you. I'm going off in the distance here. I'm living in the bottom. You can call me a bottom feeder. Cheers to everybody. had a lovely hang today with, if you watched last issue, Romain Villemont. He sang I Wish You Love in French. He lives in France, and we had a lovely hang on the internet today. He does, if you look him up, Romain, it looks like romaine lettuce without the E, and then Villemont, it's like Vuilemin. And he's got some friend who's got like all these amazing archtop guitars, D'Angelicos, Epiphones, old Gibsons, and he plays them, and he's just an amazing swing style player, and he demonstrates all these great guitars. So he's a guy to look up on YouTube for eye candy and for ear candy. So a lot of people stay away from the low end of the guitar. You know what I mean? There's a reason for it. Because bass players and piano players hate us for it. Of course, we do it when we're playing solo, but then we kind of oftentimes just sort of act like a bass player with a guitar player. You know, kind of. But I really love the sound of the guitar down low, particularly if it's clearer and not so muddy, and then to really play like melodies down there, you know, just kind of live down there and maybe answer some chords that are high instead of kind of make it like the old clusters low, melody high, soprano and bass. So I'm going to make something up. I don't know what it's going to be, but I better think of it quick before I lose my last 10 watchers. these are bass clef notes, like a cello. Anyways, exploring the bottom of the instrument is a really good thing for us guitar players, but you know, sometimes with the jazz guitar sound and an amplifier, it gets so big and ends up sounding like an electric bass, and then all the people around you, and it looks like I've lost the feed, but I don't care because I'm having a good time. It says that we're having trouble playing this video, but it looks like it's still broadcasting. It's not broadcasting. I'm going to end it and start it again. Folks, you on YouTube have watched me go through this. Watch. I'm going to do this without anger, without any need. The Sanatini, Gidge, you made a good Sanatini here. Hey everybody. Well, what am I talking about? I'm talking to people on YouTube. I need to kind of come up with a new joke for you guys, but I'm busy doing tech work, and this is hard to do. I can talk and play at the same time. You might have noticed that by now, right? But I cannot, for the life of me, it looks like we're having some issues with connectivity. I cannot, for the life of me, do tech work and talk at the same time. Let's see if it comes back. Anyways, you know how many bass players it takes to change a light bulb? 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. Welcome back, folks. They'll find us on Facebook. You don't have to worry about it because now we're going somewhere completely different. I'm super excited about this, and I got to kind of move quickly here because I got excited, you know. Playing music is really cool, folks. You ought to try it. For those of you that don't know how to do it. And I'm happy to give lessons. This is going to be not what you expected because I'm going to introduce you to somebody you probably expect a bass player, right? Well, you know, like I told you, guitars are good. Oops. Well, no, not yet. Okay, we know that guitars are in the bass range. We know that cellos are in the bass range. We also know that trombones are in the bass range, and particularly bass trombones. So, I have a dear friend. Well, I think she's a dear friend. She probably wouldn't admit to that, but I don't blame her. Her name is Jennifer Wharton, W-H-A-R-T-O-N. She has a wonderful band called Bonegasm, and this is the cover of her record. And it's her and 3 other trombone players you probably know about. John Fetchak, we have Nate Mayland, and we have Alan Ferber, whose brother Mark Ferber on drums is also boom, 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 boom. It's beautiful. Anyways, I figured since this is a race to the bottom and we're staying in the bass clef tonight, that I asked Jen if she would give me something to play with, and she sent me something really challenging. And you know, Grumps needs to be challenged because us old geezers, if we don't challenge ourselves, it gets stupid. So I'm going to try and catch up with her here because Okay, that's not good. I'm going to bring it back to the beginning. No. Okay, Grumps is lame. We know that, though. You know, I don't want to cancel. I don't want to edit it. I want to start it again. And I want to turn it on. And I want to get the... I'll catch her. This is going to be... Isn't that cool?
That was super cool.
I love the trombone.
That.
I got to say that.
Yeah, that was terrific.
You probably noticed, like on cowbop records, I always have a trombone because the sound of it. I mean, it's like the cello and the trombone and the guitar are such a family. And there's that wonderful record with Jim Hall, Bob Brookmeyer, but it was the leader of the date was. Oh damn! You know the horn player that did the Train in the River and I'm blanking, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. He had that cool chamber band in the late 50s, and I'm going to remember who it is before the end of the show, I promise. But the trombone, the guitar, wow, what a great mixture! And I'm going to beg Jen to help me get Alan and Nate and John on the show. So please, Jen, help me. But thank you so much for being, I think, the first trombone player we've ever had on the show, right?
Well, it's about time.
It was Jimmy Jufrey. That's who I was thinking of. But it's about time we had trombone. And you remember Jen, right, from the Jazz Cruise, babe? She was the bass trombone player in the big band.
I do.
She's she's such a great spirit and such a...
Lovely.
I can't wait to hear Bonegasm. I know that that's going to be some amazing, amazing music. And yes, GrumpsTV is making its race to the bottom. You notice that we've kind of been living in theme world lately. And it really helps put the show together. And because it helps me raise friends to friends, you know, and I know Grumps has friends. That's the big news. Put it on CNN. And Sanatinis, folks. You know, Sanatinis. I highly suggest it for those of you, but remember, they're like breasts.
Oh, geez.
Women's breasts, not
Here we
men's.
go.
One's not enough, and 3 is too many. I'm gonna, God, I just love that song. But again, I know I already talked about when Peter Bernstein was here. I talked about how Barney Kessel stopped me in the middle of playing it once and made me play it in E minor because you know, duh. Anyways, it's beautiful. And Eddie Keith, Thelonious Monk, is somebody we all want to. I mean, I have this thing, and I bet I even have it on here. I hope I do. I was working with my students, you know, the way I work with my students, they're basically, I'm just mentoring them. They're players like me, and we're all learning this together. I just happen to be a little older. I don't have this particular thing on my iPad, but I can recite it to you anyways. And we were thinking about how, like, you know, the most tributized, I know that's not a word, but it is now, human in jazz music is Thelonious Monk. And because he's such an original and such a spirit, yet all the tributes, as great as they are, and they are great, and I can think of a lot of them, they're not the same as Monk. There's a thing that he has, that he embodies, that we all need to strive to. And we tried to define, just as an intellectual exercise, and a fun way to spend a half hour, to think of the defining qualities of Monk and what they are, and what maybe we could then hold up ourselves in the mirror and see if we're living up to that high status, that high calling, that high ethos. And the things that we came up with were, with Monk, he was an innovator, not a follower. So imagine you're an explorer going through a forest with potentially dangerous things, snakes, holes, whatever. The amount of alertness and acuity you have, that razor sharp intensity that you have is so much different than if you're just playing Monk's music. You're just following in his footsteps. And again, his thing did this goddamn thing again. Anyways, you people on YouTube are going to get to hear this. The people on Facebook are just going to have to catch up. I don't give a shit. Anyways, but think about it. You know, think about it. There you are. You're in the desert, or you're in this jungle. You're in this amazing place you've never been before. Your senses are so highly acute. And, you know, the person who just follows your footsteps, they've got kind of an easy pass here. And I think that there's that element in Monk's music. I think that's really huge. I also think that when Monk played, there was no body in his head. When, for those of you who just joined Facebook, the first thing was innovator versus follower. I explained it. Go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, and you'll see my explanation. The next thing is there's nobody in his head. With Monk, he's playing. He's not trying to be Monk. He is Monk, and it's just not there. With the people that tributize him, there's always some space in your brain. You're playing Monk's music. You're thinking about Monk. You're thinking what he would do, and because of that, there's bandwidth problems. And that's something we need to learn about. The third thing I would like to say about Monk is he was funny. I'm betting that if we hung out with Monk, he'd be a funny motherfucker. I mean, he would make us laugh. He would do crazy shit. We would never know what was going to come next, and we would be endlessly entertained. And, you know, of course, the way we think about Monk, and we're playing along, you're playing a tune, you know, it's like, and like angular rhythms and close intervals. Of course, those are signature parts of his playing. But when he did it, it was funny. And when I hear many people who tributize Monk, it sounds nerdy. It sounds like it's a science experiment or someone copying something that they think is hip rather than somebody just being real and funny. So I have those three things on a piece of paper. And if anybody here wants to message me and say, send me that the day you wrote it, there's actually a fourth one, but it's really the second one, just said in a different way. I will send it to you because I, in many ways, hold that up like I'm looking in the mirror in the morning saying, who do I want to be? Do I want to be an innovator or a follower? Do I want to be in my head or do I want to have somebody else occupying that space? Do I want to be real? And I'm not saying necessarily funny. I mean, you could be sensitive, you could be heartfelt, you could be angry, you could be anything. You could be hungry, which I am right now. But you really want to not be nerdy because copying stuff and turning it into something, this is art, this is expression, these are human beings. Let's not dissect them too much and kill them. Let's not institutionalize them. Let's not put them on too big a pedestal that makes it so that we can't get up to that height. Because even though we might not, we still need to strive for that. And I'm going to finish out with a really great player, funny motherfucker, who you gotta watch. You're gonna have to watch to the end because he took it to another place, man, and I didn't expect it. And I think like me, he's been drinking. So
hey, Rufus, Jon Flaugher here. And thank you for asking me to do this. I'm just gonna walk a G blues. That's been playing through.
He didn't say Jew blues. He said G blues.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers, man. Boom. Go ahead and start without me.
Two.
Off the table. It's off the charts.
That thing is walking across the table. Oh, big bad boy.
it right there.
Check this out.
Fucking president has to resign.
No argument
Great
here,
playing
baby.
with you.
Sorry, from President's right. Great playing with you.
This guy, I love him.
John, you're amazing.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
man, you know, it's like one of those, fuck you. Stronger letter to follow. Anyways, come on, play. Let's do the theme. We're out of here. What a great race to the bottom. I think we got all the way there.
Enchiladas for dinner,
Of course,
too.
there were three particular segments on Facebook Live now. That's their problem, not yours, because you can go to YouTube, subscribe to Bruce Foreman GrumpsTV channel, and you can get it straight through, and you can binge, and you get Gidget 24/7,
But what about...
like I've got her,
Well, oh,
and Ruby every now and then when she decides to show up.
Ruby, come here. Everybody wants to see you. Don't try to cross him. He'll leave you in dismay. Don't try to cross him. He'll ruin your whole day. He's got more many problems than a shrink could ever say. She leaves the room. He's obfuscated, prevaricating, and constantly pontificating, procrastinating, aggravating, creaking, grating, and forever bellyaching, exasperating, aggravating, irritating, infuriating, and an asshole. You can't see her, but you can hear her.
Ruby, on behalf of Ruby, on behalf of me, on behalf of Gidget, on behalf of all the people who play in the bass clefs, remember, good boys don't animals. Get off my lawn!
Ruby's happy to hear that. Yay.
I'll see you, potatoes.
See you in my dreams.
I'm living meal to meal. I don't know about you these days, but that's kind of my life. Groundhog Day. Thank God for this show. It's the only way I know what damn day it is. Boom, boom, and